Hey everybody, it's Jork. Welcome back. Hope you're doing great wherever you are in the world. Today I wanted to talk through just about several people that I know right now that are in Portugal doing a scouting trip. And I made videos over the years, but as I find new people are finding my channel about this topic, about scouting trips and when to do a trip. And right now, oddly enough, might be the best time to go visit Portugal if you're going to move there. Whether you're going to do the islands, the Azores, Madeira, you're going to be on the mainland. And you may kind of scratch your head going, what are you talking about? The weather sucks. It's rainy season. I'd rather go in the summertime or maybe depending on work or kids are off of school, go then. And yes, the summertime, depending on where you go, high tourist season, so you can determine, how busy the restaurants are and places that you may want to live. But right now, I feel is the best time to actually take a trip. It's the crappiest weather. Usually it can be as early October through late February, March. It can be rainy, definitely rainy northern parts of the mainland. Porto, a lot of people go there. It rains more often. But even in Lisbon, we were there 5 years. And as we were looking and doing scouting trips, we did one in the summertime. But then we also went back in the wintertime and a completely different experience just because it rained almost every day. Cloudy, overcast. And for some people, the weather may not play much of a factor in moving. But if you're going to move to someplace and hopefully permanently, or this is going to be your retirement, you probably want some sunny days mixed in with those rainy days. And knowing where you're going to live in the country relative to the weather, the type of weather is important. And I also want to mention this too. This is also a great time to go house hunting, or I'll say flat or apartment hunting. So when you're looking at property, of course, summertime, it's warm out, all the windows are open, maybe the doors are open. But now in the winter time, doors and windows are more often closed. Things like mold. You can feel when you walk into a flat, if it's damp, looking around to the ceilings, the walls, checking the appliances for mold, looking underneath cupboards and in cupboards. That's an important thing because mold is a thing in Portugal. You're going to get it in most areas. Sorry, people may disagree, but just looking at several hundred properties and all the people that we went over to their houses and ours or their flats, there was always something that was creeping up with mold. So it's something that you can be aware of versus maybe in the summertime you might not necessarily be looking for that. And then also, since most of you looking at this video or watching are going to be in an apartment or a flat and you're going to be in a building somewhere, this is also a great time to inspect the building. So when it's raining for a few days straight, are there puddles? One of the apartments we were looking at, the building, the entryway where the mailboxes were, it was just dripping down rain right in front of us. So there were leaks and problems with the building. Although the apartment itself was in really good shape and it really didn't need a lot of work, the building itself did. So it was something to be careful of because it's not always spelled out very well on who's paying for that stuff. Common area. In some countries, everyone pays a portion. In some countries, it's different. And in Portugal, depending on how often that association meets, you may be moving into an apartment in the summertime, not knowing that in the winter there's leaks in the apartment or in the building itself, that when you're getting the mail, there's a bucket with water pouring into it from all the rain. But this is really, I think, the best time to get a view of what Portugal's like. And I'd say that for other countries that might have a rainy season or inclement weather, because then although you're not going when all the tourists are there, you are seeing it when you're not going to maybe want to go outside, depending on whether you have a car or not. Going during this time of year, you can make a decision. Well, do we need a car or do we not need a car? Do we just stay inside more? Or are we going to budget a lot of Uber and Lyft rides, or Bolt, excuse me, for getting around different places? Also, the more rural you are, as opposed to, let's say, out of some major cities, are you dealing with dirt roads? Or are you dealing with paved roads? Also, this time of year, so we're talking about kind of the winter time in Portugal, it's a great time to visit too, because depending on where you may want to move to, if it's a more seasonal or more touristy area, they may not have all the restaurants open at this time of year. So let's say you came in June and you went to the same place. Depending on where you're in a big city, everything's going to be open. But if you're in a smaller area or a more rural or in an area that might be more some parts of the Algarve, there are restaurants that close this time of year, or there may be some places that are not open, let's say Monday through Friday, or they're closed on the weekends, or they're closed during the week, depending on what services they provide or if they're a restaurant per se. So that's also worth knowing, because if you're going in July and you're looking at everything and it's all great and you enjoy the weather and everything's open, perfect. But then if you happen to be moving, or if you move and you don't realize in November, December, January, or there's certain months in the fall through the spring that certain places are closed or have limited hours, that's worth knowing. So that's why it's a great time to go and visit right now. I get it. You're going to need an umbrella and you need a raincoat, and you're going to probably be wet more often than not. But this is the time to visit, because then you really understand whether you want to be in Portugal, or whether after that experience you decide, okay, you check Portugal off the list and you're still considering someplace else. If you think I have some good ideas, or if you have some other ideas to provide, please leave them in the comments below. Would love to get some information so that other people considering a move to Portugal can figure out what makes sense to them. As always, thank you so much for watching. Enjoy your travels.